Hey everyone, thanks for coming back to the Sovereign Ratio. Today we're going to take a quick look at Bitcoin technical analysis as it relates to what we discussed previously, mimicking potentially the 2015 cycle and how the EMA9 is really dictating all that. We're going to take a look at that with tomorrow's FOMC meeting coming up and see how the technicals look. If you're new here, please go ahead and smash the subscribe button, like the video, and leave a comment. All right, so tomorrow we've got Jerome Powell speaking again. We don't know if he's going to raise interest rates by 25 basis points or if he's just not going to hike at all. With the bank collapses that we had another bank collapse recently. Things are really looking interesting as far as our financial system is concerned. So tomorrow I do expect a very volatile day. Generally, there are candles going in both directions very harshly right around the time that Jerome speaks. We'll see what happens, but either way, what I want to look at is I want to just quickly here today, look back at a previous video I made last week about resemblance to the 2015 cycle and the confluence with the Gaussian channel and the EMA9. So I went ahead and did a little snip here of the 2015 cycle so we can do an easy comparison. But there's actually another thing I've noticed that is very similar right now to the 2019 cycle. So we will point that out as well. But first, structurally, this is the 2015 cycle. Again, we broke through the Gaussian channel, tested the top of it, came back to the median, bounced there for bounced off of that for a couple weeks, and then finally broke through, and then kind of came back in it a little bit, but continued to break through and went on to rally for quite a bit before a little dip back to the top of the Gaussian channel, and then a big price jump takeoff after that. So what we're looking at here is at the beginning of this week, this was getting very close to the EMA9, and actually, if we zoom in here a little bit, it actually touched right on the EMA9 right there, which is exactly what happened again that I pointed out in 2015. Let's pull that back up. The EMA9 is the silver line right here. You can see it price did not want to go below that. Bounce off of it, bounce off of it, bounce off of it. 3 bounces off that EMA9. Right now, where you could potentially call this a bounce, perhaps. So we could say 1, 2, 3 bounces off the EMA9. We've gone up and tested the top of the Gaussian channel. We've touched the middle line several times or gotten very close to it. And now we're bouncing off the EMA9 again. And this candle, this bottoming tail here is very indicative of continuation, but we'll see what happens tomorrow. One other thing I've noticed as we sit here at, what do we sit now? We're sitting here at 28,719. Another thing I've noticed is that the days that we have until the halving, so that when this went up to test the top of the Gaussian channel to the next halving is 371 days. In the 2019 cycle, it was 364 days. And then in the 2019 cycle, once it broke through the Gaussian channel, there was a very large run up, a retest to the Gaussian channel again, and then a just major face melting rally, which I'll briefly just zoom back and show that. Even though structurally, the break of the Gaussian channel was different, there was no testing of the middle really, except you could consider that a test maybe. But the EMA9 still held. It's bounce off the EMA9, bounce off the EMA9, break the Gaussian channel, test the top, come back. It's very similar. Break through the Gaussian channel, retest the Gaussian channel, again bounce off the EMA9 and straight up. And then we had a very big run up. I think it was 80%. A bounce back down to the middle, inside the Gaussian, testing the top, and then into the middle of the Gaussian channel. And then the whole COVID thing happened here, which, I'll say it again, I don't think this was supposed to happen or this was going to happen. It probably would have just bounced here on the Gaussian channel or rode the top of it or whatever. But the distance from the halving to when this broke, right there, 364 days. Which, again, I find very interesting because we are currently sitting at 371 days from the top of from when we tested the Gaussian channel, and now we're at 350 days, essentially, if we were to break through this week. Very similar time frame, structurally a little bit different, more like 2015. But for me, the data is still screaming in the face of market cipher blood diamonds, in the face of bearish divergence. To me, my belief is that as long as we're holding the middle of this Gaussian channel And even more importantly, as long as we're holding that EMA9, I still see what happened previous cycles happening again. I'm happy to be wrong. I have no issue being wrong, but just a quick update. Probably a longer video tomorrow based off of what happens with the FOMC meeting and interest rate hikes, but just a quick update. Things look good. You know, people probably got worried down here when we were coming back to this trend line, because Bitcoin does have this, ooh, it's a big arrow. Get rid of that real quick. Bitcoin does have this long trend line that it's sitting at right now that's been going all the way back to October of 2022. Just a nice trend line here that was once resistance is now support, and we're still sitting there. So as long as the EMA9 and this trend line hold, I don't have any reason to think that we're not going to continue to go up, even though it does look bearish. We did make a higher low here as well. So clearly very easy to see that. So we'll check back in tomorrow. If you found value in the content, please, again, subscribe to the video, like the video, leave a comment below, and safe trading. We'll see you in the next one.